Welcome back to The Good Talk, the show where we discuss what's hot, what's grot, and everything in between in the wide world of Warhammer. Today, we are extremely excited to be joined by the brand new Astra Militarum book from the Special Edition box. A big thanks to Games Workshop for sending us this pre-release copy so we can take a look at it, play with it, talk about it, and share it with all you fine folks at home. I'm super excited, of course, today to be joined, as always, by the amazing Mr. Zach Pfeiffer.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? How's it going, Adrian?
Doing great. I'm super excited to be talking about the brand new Guard book. Super exciting things happening in the game right now.
This book is like got I think mostly people are into it, but it's got a lot of like, I know it's kind of cliche to say a new codex. There's buzz, but this one feels special. People are really into this one.
This is a truly iconic classic faction in Warhammer, and it's breaking the mold a bit. Lots of speculation about what it means for the game moving forward, which is always exciting. So, look, this is what we're going to talk mostly about today. If you enjoy this content, do consider liking, subscribing, hit that button down below. Oh, I'm kind of small today. Look how tiny I am. I'm a small boy. Anyways, so super excited. Definitely subscribe. And with that, let's get into it. So really, we're going to spend the majority of today talking about one topic, one overall topic, which is this concept of, are the classic regiments gone, and what does that mean for the book? There's definitely some interesting design choices as far as it's going to change the way that we play, collect, and also think about, lore-wise, a lot of the Astra Militarum book, the faction. So that is kind of the big thing we want to talk about with you guys today. Of course, as always, this is not a monologue. Definitely let us know what you guys think in chat. We're going to be keeping an eye on it. Zach's got the iPad, so he's going to be my eyes and ears as always. With that, I think let's go ahead and get right down to it. So, classic regiments.
Yeah, talk to me about this because I actually don't exactly know what's going on.
Exactly.
I do a little bit.
And this is partially by design, too, because I kind of want to...
Wait, by design that I don't know what's going on?
Yes.
Games Workshop's like, let's make sure Zach, we know he's mostly playing iOS, but let's make sure he has no idea what's going on once this book
Let's
comes out.
really throw him off. Like, what if we change something so fundamental, like the way that the Guard work, that he's just like, he doesn't even see himself anymore as a 40k player. So, classic regiments, are they gone? Kind of, which is probably the answer you're expecting. Basically, this book doesn't have official rules, strict rules for playing. Like, this is your chapter tactics when you're Catechins, when you're Krieg, when you're Acadian, whatever. That's gone. What that means is this book, unlike a lot of the books, does not have like a separate stratagem page, warlord traits, relics for each of those kind of bespoke regiments. Okay. So very interesting. Yeah. Possibly concerning. But that's what we're here to discuss.
Yeah.
Well, imagine. So I personally.
Do we want to get into it?
Yeah, we could dig in. We could get into it. Let's get into it. I like it.
Yeah. Why? What makes this book? Because we're all kind of wondering. Is this something that new books are going to have? Is this going to be a 10th ed thing? Right.
Yep. Totally.
And I think the question is. How would this look for other books, and is it going to dilute down flavor?
Right.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Just like that's it. Just right. Oh, time to do that. Okay.
I'm hitting all the buttons. I'm sorry.
We have it on. Adrian has it on his phone. And
I thought I was being sly, and I'm like pressing all the buttons.
My initial thought is I'm excited. Even though I don't really mind the current way 40k does their breakdown, I do kind of like the way Sigmar does it in that almost many books are different. And I'm kind of curious if, I would be into a change. What about you makes this concerning though?
So the concern is, and we'll talk about, through this discussion, if that proves to be well-founded or not or whatever. My concern is like, I for one was excited for Catechins.
Yeah.
And I open up this book and I'm like, cool, what awesome new exciting things can I do with Catechins? And I'm like, there's no chapter tactics, there's no extra warlord traits, there's none of that extra flavor. Right. Well, not in the same way that I was expecting. Right. So I might be a bit bummed here,
you get the jungle fighter keyword or whatever.
I get, exactly. So that's kind of cause for concern potentially. Okay. I see, saw a question about poll. We are going to have a poll at the end of this discussion with the YouTube polls. You can't change your vote, so I think let's have it. We'll have everyone discuss, and this will result in a hot or grot ultimately. Do we like this new system? I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So that is potential concern.
Okay.
But let's take a look at exactly what the new system is and how it kind of is different from the old system, right? So I think, first off, so now there's only one like default regiment, essentially.
Okay.
And it is Born Soldiers, which we have right here. Now, Born Soldiers is kind of, Hammer of the Emperor rolled into this kind of new current edition. Basically, this gives you a couple things. It gives you the Born Soldiers keyword, which is important. We'll talk more about that later.
Yep.
It allows you to automatically wound on a hit roll of a 6. Sound familiar, Votan? No. And then additionally, it also allows you to use the leadership of an officer for units that are within 6 of them, which sounds like a small thing, but if you've played Guard, if you played with or against, you know that this is actually kind of very important.
Yeah.
So this is default, and if you want something else, you basically have to build a custom regiment and pick 2 traits to build from.
Oh, so this is one, and if you give this one up, you get to pick 2 others?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yes.
I thought you only got to pick 1 other.
No, so you get 2 others.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
And so we can open up the book here. Of course, we have seen some from a Warhammer community, and we're going to look at some more today. So, for example, this is the armored... What's the actual term?
And worth pointing out, from when I did look a little bit in here, worth pointing out that some of these are very clearly meant to be one of the regiments from the past, Mordians or Talaran or whatever, right?
100%.
Right.
Exactly. And we're going to kind of take a look at some of those. So like armored superiority, this is one that actually GW showed themselves. This basically says you're going to be focused on like tanks, right? So you get armored superiority keyword. Your Sentinel models count as 3 for objectives. Your Titanic count as 10, and all other vehicles count as 5. Very interesting, given now that there's a tank order to also get OBSEC. So like your battle tanks, your mainline tanks can suddenly be OBSEC, count as 5 models. You really want to play battle tanks? This is an interesting way to do it, right?
Sentinels as 3 is kind of cute. It's almost not, it's interesting, it's almost not
irrelevant
quite enough, but then it randomly, like once per battle, it might be, and you'll be like, yes.
Right. It's interesting that they don't count it as 2, because 2 kind of functions the same way. It says, I will outmatch another person's tank. Or whatever, like one single model, like they throw a cheeky rhino.
So again, we're wondering what implications for the future, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I mean, in Sigmar, not to,
a character is 2.
A character is 2, and cavalry are 2, like big cavalry are 2.
If they're over 5 wounds, right? So yeah, so some interesting implications.
Could be that. Now, as you alluded to, there are kind of classic regiments that kind of get replicated. So, for example, let's take a look at a couple here. These are some of the custom ones, and I love this one that we're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen. I think it's super interesting. You're gonna like this. Mechanized infantry.
Okay.
Basically makes your whole army truck boys.
Yeah.
So cool. So you can disembark after transport has moved. You cannot charge, and
which is okay.
That's it. You just can't charge.
Which is very okay for most Guard armies. Yeah.
Super interesting, right? Like, we love breachers and devilfish. We love truck boys.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Super fun. And then the second one we can see here is actually the start. It's like half of Catechin, basically. Brutal strength. You don't take heavy modifiers for shooting. And on the turn in which you charge +1 strength.
Oh, that's quite good.
Yeah. And they actually call out specifically. They're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Warrior soldiers exist in a number of regiments. Some hail from Death Worlds, such as Catechin.
Right. Okay. That's in the lore, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and what's the Talaran one? I remember the Talaran one.
So the Talaran one is...
I think it's on the right page down towards the bottom.
Swift as the wind.
Okay.
Doesn't say desert wind, but...
Okay.
So +1 movement to infantry. Oh, infantry and artillery, your favorite.
My favorite.
+2 to all others. And then...
+2 to all others.
Boop. Why is Bridger calling me?
Wow, that's like quite good.
+1 to charge, and +1 to charge as well. Pretty cool. Pretty spicy.
Not that they really, again, want to charge. But you would take Bulgrin? Oh, he's just saying, Bryce is saying you can't move after you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. So it's not truly truck boys or devilfish, but you can get out, which is amazing.
And it is army-wide.
It is army-wide,
right?
Which is awesome.
So I don't know. These sound cool. And then, so wait, you'd get to pick Swift as the Wind and another one?
And another one.
That sounds
So to my knowledge,
amazing.
None of these are double. I think they're super cool and flavorful, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Why would anyone take the original one?
I think a lot of people are saying the original one is still the best. But again, new book, pretty unproved.
6s to wound. 6 is the hit, go straight through.
Oh, I'll tell you one reason people also like it.
That's like army-wide everything.
It's army-wide.
Yeah.
Now, there's another aspect of this that I really like.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that we've seen a little bit of thus far. It's the keyword system, right? These all give you a keyword.
Right.
And this unlocks either new stratagems or empowers existing stratagems. And let's take a look real quick. As I mentioned, I love catechins. So I'm looking at this book for this perspective of like, how can I get my catechins back? So here's a cool combo. This is kind of the second half of catechins. Veteran guerrillas. Gives you veteran guerrillas keyword.
Okay.
And then your infantry and sentinel models ignore cover when you're within 18. So quite strong, ignore cover within 18. It's only infantry and sentinels. But in this case, we're looking at it because it gives us the veteran guerrillas keyword.
But sentinels can take some mean weapons.
They can, they're quite cheap.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now this second kind of visual we have here is for vicious traps, which John used a lot in the game last night.
Right.
Basically, it sets a trap. If you get charged and you're fully within terrain, you roll a dice, and on a 2+ you do D3 mortal wounds. On a 6+ you do 2D3 mortal wounds. But you get +1 if you have the Melta Mine, if you have Slime Marbo in your army, and he's on the board.
Or this keyword.
Or if you have Catechin or Veteran Guerrillas keyword.
Yeah.
So it's a cool way of sort of like almost giving extra bullet points without giving extra bullet points. It's giving strats without having a separate strat section.
Yeah.
I think this is cool.
I think it's super cool. I'm like, I gotta be honest with you, as we're sitting here, I have some other painting to do, but I want to take these. I've been wanting to do a Talaran army with the Ash Waste dudes. I want to take them home and put them together now. I think I actually might. Like, this sounds amazing. This
it's cool, right?
It's build your own has always been something I've been into in the books. I don't know about folks at home, but I've always been into the build your own.
Totally.
And we've talked about before. I think you, me, and John were talking about Saturday. I was saying how in the Saryani book, I almost like build your own to make my Saim Han.
Exactly.
And I like this. I think this makes it more flavorful. I think like it's the same. It's almost the same gripe that a response I've had to the gripe of terrain having lesser rules. I'm like, I like when terrain has lesser rules because then I can make anything.
Yeah.
And we just sit it and we say it just does this one thing. We don't have to get all granular. We don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, just saying, cool, my Talaran, I'm going to use Ash Waste guys. They're going to have Swifts of the Wind. They're going to have like one of the other ones. And then I can like also do this cool thing where I'm the guy that shows up to my club with my like little Talaran army and I have like an infantry heavy army. I run that one. And then one of the other ones, and then later I bring armor, and I'm like, cool, now this is a different part of the army, right?
Exactly.
And in my lore, it's still my army, but like, this regiment is better at mechanized. This is awesome. I'm like super into this.
It's super cool, right? I think it's great. It's interesting. Let us know, of course, in chat. Do we have any? There's definitely a lot more to talk about on this topic, but any questions so far?
Oh, we do. We have one from Bright actually. Bright890 says, this book has convinced me to start a guard army, you and me both, Bright, using a lot of the Necromunda models as characters. I also love the new approach to sub-factions. List building is going to be a blast for sure. Yeah, I think this sounds really like it's going to make list building fun. List building is the one thing that is not a niche that gets scratched when you play Sigmar, really.
Right.
Quite as much.
Yeah. Less granular.
It's very much like pick 6 things in your army, right? So I totally agree, Bright. Now, I will say one thing, Bright, about your plan to use Necromunda models as characters. Be careful. They are weirdly ever so slightly smaller than 40k models. So I think you have to be clever about how you incorporate Necromunda models. My plan was to have all my infantry be these little guys. And it's just like, they're from a planet where like max height on a dude is like 5'4". You know what I mean? And that's a thing.
Totally.
Right? There's planets. There's millions of planets in the Imperium.
And it's also less. Most people probably wouldn't even notice if you are consistent across the whole army.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the point. And the tanks will be bigger, but that'll, I think, look cool.
I think it'll look cool.
Yeah, it's gonna look cool.
You know, it's funny. Again, last night we had our members game. We played the new guard, and we had the new guard models in the studio, and there was some concern that they would be bigger than the current Cadians, and they wouldn't match.
Yeah.
In a way, they're almost smaller, actually. The features are more fine. They're less chunky, so
we've seen this. We saw this with the ogres.
Yeah, exactly. So things to keep in mind, but it's definitely something that you can work around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Bright, I think if you're going to do it, it'll work. But just something to think about, because they are, some people are saying, I already have my first one. It doesn't look too different. Okay, good.
Oh, cool.
Next to the regular dudes.
Nice.
Yeah. And honestly, Captain Mannering's advice is as mundane as it sounds to put them on rocks.
Yeah.
It's probably enough. Like, if they're a little smaller and they're up on a rock, the fact that their features are all smaller probably won't. 25 to 28, I don't think it's quite.
Yeah.
I know people are like, 40K is not true 28, and I think that they're right, but.
The classic debate, right?
Yeah. But that's awesome, Bright.
Yeah, thanks, Bright. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Kind of curious. Let us know, what are you. Oh, it's in the mod chat. Okay, cool. I'm going to take a look. What are you running? Like, what's the army?
Definitely curious.
The army idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, so there's a bit more to kind of dig into this.
Yeah.
We think that these are interesting. We like these kind of custom regiments. There's a thing that I find a little bit more odd, and for me, this is a hobbying and a lore issue more than anything.
Okay.
And this is, of course, the fact that now Catechins, Kriegers, and Cadians are all bespoke units within this army. Now, the Cadians I totally buy. Their, spoiler, planet has been totally destroyed. They're sort of dispersed throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
But there's still a people, a culture that's based around, the military. So
Sure.
they will go work for any guard.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
And the Cadians, I think many people are finding, are probably the best of these kind of troops. They're all troops choices.
Yeah.
But Cadians give you things like exploding sixes, which is quite excellent.
They just have that?
They just have that on their data sheet,
Okay.
which is amazing.
That's very cool.
And the Kriegers and the Catechins actually cost more points. Kriegers, as we can see here, this is another graphic from GW themselves. They get baby transhumans, can't win them without in threes. And the Jungle Fighters was exploding sixes in melee. But they still only have one attack, which is kind of a gripe I have. But
yeah, that was maybe a miss, because it's not like they're that strong.
Like what?
They could have had two.
And I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyways, it's a bit weird to me lore-wise to be like, here we are, and like we have our like group of Catechins, and they're good at jungle, and here's our group of like, why is there a unit of Kriegers in my whatever army? And it presents modeling problems. Obviously, we have a full Krieg army, which in the past was just guardsmen, and you would run them as Kriegers, when you wanted to. But now it's like that's an actual unit. So it creates kind of weird, strange lore questions and modeling questions. And I'm curious how chat feels about that. It's the one hang-up I have a little bit on this system. I will say, to play devil's advocate to myself, hobbying-wise.
I love when you play devil's advocate to yourself.
Yeah, I love arguing with myself. Look,
you and John are really good at this.
yeah, just arguing.
I love just watching you and John just converse with yourself.
On the other, it's like Gollum and Smeagol.
You know what it's like.
Yeah,
it goes back to light Harlequins versus dark
Harlequins.
Harlequins.
I know. Must be an Eldari thing.
Which one should I take?
But on the other hand, look, now we can go out and get a box of Catechins, get a box of Kriegers, put them in an army, and you can have that kind of one-off hobby project. Whereas before it was like, well, I'm not playing Kriegers. Why would I get this new kit?
Yeah.
So I will say, from that perspective, if you're a new player into getting into Guard, this is great. This is cool. This is fun. So I don't know. It's weird.
I also will say that it does this very cool thing. I've mentioned before that I'm not one of those like weird old Grognard gamers who's like obsessed with military history in this almost uncomfortable way.
Totally, yeah.
But I do love Roman history, like not just military, but all of Roman history.
Cool. Yeah.
And I will say it gives me that vibe, because they kind of did that. They would have like their cavalry was from North Africa, and like they didn't have like a lot of like Roman-born, Italian-born, Peninsula-born cavalry.
Yeah.
And that was their cavalry. So it does kind of lend this feel of like this coalition of men from across the galaxy meeting on this planet to fight the Tyranids. Like, oh crap! Like, and it's kind of scary. It's like, like they're fighting along people they don't know, but they know that those people are good at this, and like, are we gonna get along? It's like it's kind of,
and they just frankly are all terrified of this existential crisis, which is pretty much any other faction in the game.
Right. Yeah, it could be anything, really.
And so I like that, and I'm curious, again, most people don't have their hands on this book, but I'm curious to see if moving forwards they kind of lean into this in the lore, frankly.
Yeah.
The Guard armies are more, broadly diverse.
Yeah.
And they are like bands of soldiers, like clinging together in the darkness of the far future.
You can STC a or what are they called? Standard template. Yeah, STC a Lehman Russ.
Right.
Or Sentinel. You can't STC a man. And that's like what we're playing. We're playing these STC vehicles that are kind of universal.
Exactly.
And that's where you see the Imperium.
Yep.
But then you see the fact that like there are planets in the Imperium where like no representative of the Imperium has been there for like generations. That planet is basically rogue until they get caught up and they're like, hey, we need you to go halfway across the galaxy. We need to send like most of your population to go fight the Tau. And
Exactly.
You're like, what's a Tau?
What's a Tau?
If you're lucky, you get called up to fight the Tau. That's like the most lucky.
Yeah, that's like a pretty good death.
That's like a pretty, like you might actually just get captured and just put into a better society.
That is true.
That's like a real
problematic,
option.
but true.
Right. It's still problem.
Well, it's funny, like, again, so we released a couple shorts digging into the lore. We released one on Krieg, we released one on Catachin, and it's funny when they talk about Catachin, they're talking about, like, the Death World. You know, you have to fight from the moment you're born. Like, every day you're just fighting to keep the jungle at bay.
Right.
And how impressive it is that they still managed to supply a huge number of humans, of people, to the tithe of the Guard, every year. And I love it. It's just like this, like, wow, that's really, they're like, that's so impressive.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly dark at the same time. They are surviving and also managing to like thrive enough to like feed more people into the meat grinder. That is the Imperial Army, and I love that. It's so dark.
Hot take while we're on it before we go to the next part of this book.
Yeah.
I'll say hot take. I sort of wish they had just taken the opportunity to make a stupid Tau, Guevesa.
Oh my god!
Like this would have been the chance to do it. This would have been the chance to do it. Like no, it could have been kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if they would have done it as a unit. Or if they would have done it as, and it obviously makes more sense to be in the Tau book, but it's kind of interesting. Like,
that would be cool. Though.
If you could create it all Guard faction, and then like one of the regimental things or whatever was like they can be allied with Tau.
That'd be fantastic.
And use marker lights, or like that's it.
That would be amazing. Actually.
Right? Like they had the opportunity to do that. It kind of I don't know would have been cool.
It makes me a little sad that we seem to be in the era where we're not going to have army rules and campaigns, because I think this would be a cool book to build off of. And to do that, like here's the Army of Renown that's like the Guevesa, or the Army of Renown that's like, some other different like Guard offshoot.
Yeah.
But live and learn. Look, just make customized Tau.
Honestly, while we're talking about Tau, like them doing a Tau one, they also could have done like Chaos Guard at the. Like
oh my God! Don't get me started about Chaos Guard.
No, I know, but. Like
no, because I want it. I want it.
I know, right? Like they kind of have, because I feel like that's what makes this special is like the modeling opportunities and the like what your Guard army actually looks like now is awesome. Yeah, like, and you can just do so much with it model wise. So it's sort of like, they're not gonna let people. They're not quite ready to make a Chaos Guard army, right?
Apparently not.
Yeah, apparently not. So why not give a little bit of the tools or like. Guevesa is a little more niche, I understand, but it also would have been very easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of interesting.
It's, 100%.
Trader Guard, yeah.
Trader Guard. I know, I miss the Forge World Army. Yeah, you know what? Let's see, I think it's time to determine whether or not this new system, I think we talked about it, we can discuss it a bit more, but I'm going to put it up. Let's find out. Yay, it's time. Let's do this. So the question at hand is, new regiment design. Do you guys like this? Is it hot? Is it grot? We are going to take a look at Zach's beautiful face while I put up the poll.
Well, actually, somebody, Mystics, and I was wondering this as well, wondering doesn't seem to be any interactions with Brood Brothers?
No, I know.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in there. And in the NID book pretty much exclusively says you can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? You actually lose all your Tyranid, your like Hive World. Which on one hand, bummer. On the other hand, speaking of a lore like misjoint, really this should have never been the case. By the time the Tyranids arrive, the Brood Brothers are getting eaten themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
They're done.
That's true.
So
no, I'm into the opportunities that the book affords people who have been playing, and I think you're right. Like, It's really cool. If you have, our friend Colin, we're borrowing his Cadian army, and he now has the opportunity, and I know Colin, he'll be excited to go pick up a unit of Catachan. And he will pick up Catachan, even though they're not good, because he also has chainsaws on his sentinels.
He loves Guard.
So, so he doesn't care if it's good or not. He just cares if it's cool. And I know he's like going to go pick up a box of them and be like, cool, I get the paint. Like you're saying, like, right? Like, it's this cool one-off project you get to do now. They don't have like any infiltrating rule or anything either, huh? That's maybe what they... Or does the keyword unlock something?
For Catachans?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Okay.
However, Rattlings are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
he's got a bunch in there, too.
Oh, I know. We played them yesterday.
Oh, okay,
we dug them out because it's something we would have never seen before.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're super cheap. They're snipers. They infiltrate, and they have a shoot and scoot.
Right.
Both when they shoot and also when they overwatch.
Yeah.
And
that's cool because the sniper part is not the selling point.
No, it's not. Right.
But with all the other things, they need a new model.
The Rattlings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They you know what they need?
Mel was horrified when she saw them last night.
You know what they need? Yeah. You know what they need?
Yeah.
They need a kill team.
That'd be so perfect.
They need to be in a kill team.
That'd be so perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I love the so there's the two guys from Blackstone Fortress.
Yes.
The two they're like brothers or something.
Yeah. Are they in the same base or is it two different models? I forget.
It's two different models.
It's two different models. Okay.
I have that box, so I would love to do that. Anyways, the reason I was also thinking about Rattlings is because there's the classic old Catachan sniper model, which if you're doing Catachans, totally play those as Rattlings.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But imagine modern Rattlings with night vision goggles.
Oh, it'd be so good.
And shaved heads and stuff. They could look really cool.
That's dangerous because that's the kind of kit I would want to buy a bunch and make a whole army out of.
Exactly. Right? That would be super cool.
Oh my God. I love it.
Yeah. You know what else you could use as Rattlings? Oh, no, that's kind of dumb. I was going to say, Kroot are used. Everyone hires Kroot.
God.
But
everything's back to
the stat line would be goofy, right?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit goofy. Apparently.
Yeah.
Was John wrong?
Because are they T2?
They're T2.
They've always been T2.
I didn't realize that until last night. And I went to shoot them with bolters, and he's like, "Oh, I get extra cover." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." What's their toughness? And he's like 2. I was like, "What?"
Yeah. They're T2.
Even Nurglings are T3 now.
They're T2. Do you remember instant death rules and stuff, or just how double toughness used to double strength? I know that there's something with wounds, but I remember they could just disappear real fast.
Oh, that's amazing.
And the weapon with Dagnors cover, they're just they're gone.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I shot some bolters at them.
It used to be it was the Tau airburst frag. One of my very first games in the store, I shot some Rattlings and they just all disappeared. And the guy was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, ignores cover."
But they're stealthy. I know.
Yeah, that's the purpose of this gun.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna dig you out.
Wow,
that's so funny.
Make tiny Kroot. Oh yeah, I could use Blood Bowl. You could use the Blood Bowl halflings.
So I have a couple. When we had that sale recently, I went and I bought all of them, all their halfling Blood Bowls.
Yeah,
because I just love the character in the models.
Yeah.
This is pretty resoundingly hot.
Yeah,
I'm into it. We're gonna end the poll very soon, so get your final vote.
Big Bad Peter Gaming says it is hot, and also, what's Crusade rules like?
Oh, let's take a look in. Crusade rules. Well, let me tell you this: if you like Crusade, tune in tomorrow because the Guard are going to make a cameo appearance in our Titan Tales Crusade because it is Guard Week. So let's take a look. Obviously, they've got custom battle traits. You've got an officer section, a vehicle section, and an infantry section. Bellowing voice increases your order range. Obviously, vehicle stuff is you shoot better, feel no pain. Infantry, +1. Ooh, guerrillas. Shoot in a turn which you fall back.
That's fun.
Ooh, that's cool. So let's see the kind of more bespoke sections of it. We've got tours of duty, campaign medals.
Now, Willow says, this is kind of interesting. Willow's like, I think it's hot, but I'm worried they're going to start doing it with other armies. I almost welcome this with other armies.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I would welcome this.
Universally, you think? Sorry, not to.
No, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about some of my armies.
Yeah.
Yes, universally, because again, they can, literally that's what I'm doing with my Suryani. They sort of made Simhan melee, not biker based, and that's cool. But instead, if they just had, pick 2, and one was like, again, the Simhan one, like bikers get something. And then they're like, I can pick a shooting one.
Yeah.
Or I can pick a psychic one.
Right.
Or I can pick a melee one.
Yeah.
Or I can pick one that makes me tougher. Or gives me, utility, right? So like, I like it, Willow, because it lets you pick that one thing that really feels like your army. And then you get to go and pick a second one that's like, this detachment is like, this is like this Farseer's personal guard.
Right.
So they're better at psychic.
Yeah.
Right? Or, whatever it is. Like, you could do so much cool stuff with it. Like, oh, it's Tau, it's Farsight, right? And Farsight is something with crisis suits.
Yeah.
But then also, this part of the Farsight Enclave, the breachers are like extra good, or firewars or strike teams are extra good, or they use Kroot, and the Kroot do have this. Like, it really lets you like customize. I almost am like, instead of 2 good ones, I almost would rather have like 3 meh ones.
That's what I love about the GSC book.
Right.
Is because it's a point system, right? You get 5 points.
It's cool.
And some of them cost 1, right?
That is cool. I love that system.
I love it. I think I would almost prefer that as well. Oh man, the longer it's going down. It's less hot.
We're talking ourselves out of how cool it is. Everyone's like, no, Willow's right. I don't want to see this anywhere else.
Willow, the voice of reason. I think I'm really torn about applying this overall to all the books because it's cool. It is, however, a way to reduce complexity, and I like complexity, but I also admit, we've said it many times, there's too much complexity in this game right now. So, and some factions have seen this to a lesser extent already. So like, Flash Gits are not strictly freebooters. They're like bespoke, but I'd be interested to see like how that changes in the future. I don't know. I really don't know.
Do you think like a clean basic data sheet?
Yes.
With 3 or 2, let's say 2. Let's say they go this route. 2 rules layered on top of the whole army. 1 artifact, 1 warlord trait.
Oh man,
that does not sound complicated to me. That does not sound too.
No, I agree.
And let's cool it on the stratagems, right? Like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think this will simplify the game for sure.
That sounds great to me.
I'm so torn because I like that extra like level.
But
I'm open to it.
The extra level.
So being like, oh, I'm gonna play, I'm gonna do Emperor's Children, and that means I get 6 more relics and warlord traits and stratagems to like play with that like other people who are playing like, Red Corsairs have a different set.
I still think that's okay, and I still would not. I wouldn't want to see 40K go away from that because that's too close to Sigmar. I still would want to see lots of options. It's just that when you're all said and done, what you stroll up to the board with against you, and it's more for your opponent than you, because we all know our own armies. Yeah. But when we sit there and we go across, we're like, what 1 relic do you have? Or you have 2 relics because of this special rule, and that's it. Like, you get 2 relics, a warlord trait, and that's it. That would be. I still want the list building options in 40K over Sigmar because it's something that makes 40K and Sigmar unique from each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think if they're smart about it, then I think it could work fine.
Yeah.
But just kind of wrapping up the Crusade, because I had a chance to kind of glance over this. Tours of Duty, very interesting. This is kind of one of their unique systems. Essentially, you generate a certain number. It's like 2d3 plus 2 battles or d3 plus 2 victories, and this is how many games you need to either play or win to complete the tour of duty. What? I know, it's kind of craziness. And I don't know how that fits into the overall.
Imagine rolling that in front of you, like in front of your family. All right, let's see how many games I gotta be gone this week, this month.
I know, right? It's weird. However, there's another interesting part. You have logistic points. So basically, you have a certain number of logistic points that you're able to allocate in a certain campaign, given you're deploying the forces. And there's like 4 categories. There's military intelligence, there's material, there's the tithe pool, and then there's morale. And basically, you assign these to each category, and it's going to determine where you have a surplus and where you have a deficiency. So it's going to give you a buff and a debuff depending on where you've chosen to allocate your points. So that's cool. I love that.
The Tau book has like a crazy interesting system about conquering planets.
Yeah, totally.
I really would be interested in seeing how taking this book and playing a Crusade against Tau Like, how do those two things interact? How do these like side games interact?
Sometimes they don't interact well. You have to be careful.
I'd be really curious.
Tau 1 is about conquering different planets, right?
Right.
The GC one is about different subsystems of one planet. And you're like, are we playing the same game here? Anyways, it's super cool. There's ways to get medals, which is kind of, it's just like another upgrade you can do. So really cool stuff. I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like universally people are into this. Not universally.
Not universally, but
universally, 20% of people.
The majority of people decided that it is hot and not grot, and I think we're in agreement here. I love it. Look, if you guys have any more questions about this topic, feel free to let us know, and we're happy to discuss it. As it is, however, you know what time it is.
Yeah, for real this time.
It's time for the Grognard grumble. I have a grumble to share, and I think you share some of my grumblings about this.
Yeah.
This is, of course, the segment where we complain about something, big or small, justified or not, and we see what you guys think. So my grumble is with these special edition army boxes.
Yeah.
You know, totally upfront. We get to benefit from them. You know, GW sent us 2 of this one, very kind.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. But also, this is a $200 box that locks the new codex inside of it.
Yeah.
And additionally, it's released without any kind of sense of when the book is going to be out.
Right.
Separate from this $200 box. So it creates a couple problems. It creates a price kind of gate, which is not my favorite thing. And then it also creates this problem of, is this book legal? When is it legal? You know, when can we play this in tournaments? It's like, you know, will you wear wigs? I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to know if you can play this. Right now, I believe what I've heard is actually GW has recommended this is not allowed in play until the book is open to the general public, which they did with orcs as well. So that's my grumble. I think they're fun. I think they're cool, but I do think they create some problems that are worth talking about.
Do you think it is a communication problem? So, for example, because we've dealt with a few of these now, Leagues of Votann. That was sort of a unique situation.
Yeah.
Because it was a whole new army.
Almost okay with that one.
So we almost kind of didn't think much of it.
Yeah.
But then when it happened with Slaves of Darkness and Guard, we were like, oh, okay. And the Orcs one as well.
The Orc one was also awkward.
The Orc one was almost like, that's weird.
Yeah. And it was super. That was the first one. It was really confusing for us. It was very much in the heat of lockdown, so there was a little bit of like, oh well, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But now things are definitely well underway, and it's like really affecting the way that people collect and play.
They're slightly different, but the 2 army box sets that have been being released for Sigmar are similar, right? Like, and we'll kind of give you guys a quick behind the scenes, and we know Liam's in here. Hey Liam. So and kind of weird. For content creators, it does this interesting thing, like for Adrian and I, where we get the box and we're like, okay, so is it like Slaves of Darkness? We were told like winter. I think there was some chat about January at some point, and then suddenly we had this box in November with the book in it,
right?
And we were like, okay. Right. It came the same week as Ogres, and we went back and looked at the release and said, Ogres, autumn, Slaves of Darkness, winter. And we're like, it's October.
Which is like, I guess that's when the book is going to come out to the general public.
Right.
Which is a long time, first of all. And second of all, it creates this weird double release.
Yeah, the double release is the weird thing. And
it's like, hey, check out the new stuff, and you guys are excited. And then you're like, where can we get the models? And we're like, oh, you can't yet, basically.
It's odd.
It's very strange.
And so I, like Adrian, I have mixed feelings, and I do wonder if it was handled with more communication, or it is also quite possible that if this is the new system they move to, we'll all just start to know, like, oh, it comes out the next month.
Right.
But it hasn't felt like that yet.
Problem, right? Like, even Votann, we were like, you know, here's 600 points. We'll play with 600 points, but then we're like, well, okay, well now we wait, kind of thing, right? So I think communication is key, you know, in life, but also in this. It's just if they could communicate a bit better, what's the deal with these books when they're coming out? It still has the price problem, but I also acknowledge that they are a business and they're trying to make money, and I'm sure these boxes do very well for them.
Yeah. So what did you get in this one? You got the book, and you got a bunch of models.
You got 20 of the new Cadians. You got a Sentinel, and you got two of the heavy weapons platforms that are quite big, and a 5-man Cadian command squad.
No tank.
No tank.
Did you get 1,000 points? Doesn't sound like it.
No, this one is atrocious. I understand.
Because it's the army.
I don't have a grumble about that. It's just the point that everything's cheap. So it's like, I don't know. Someone in chat will know the math. Maybe 500 or 600 points.
Okay.
It's not.
So, but 500 points is a thing that sometimes people do in 40K when they're getting starting. Oh, really?
I think it was
20K.
No, it's like 300 points.
Ooh, yeah, that's no good. They need to toss a tank in there or something.
But as far as like plastic and models, it's like on par or more than other box sets.
It sounds good. Likewise, like the Slaves of Darkness one didn't really have an ability to do battle line.
Yeah.
To like meet battle line requirements.
Oh, totally. It was like when we did the Battle First boxes, right? Yeah.
So
this is a patrol, which I do enjoy. You know.
That one is a patrol, right? But it's not enough really points. Like
under 450, Liam saying less than 500. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's too bad. I do wish they would play with that a little bit more. And again, these two ones that we just got in here today, this one and the Slaves of Darkness one, both of them, like the Slaves of Darkness one doesn't have, like I said, doesn't have battle line. I think it probably is close to 1,000 points.
Jeez, just because that army is very elite.
Yeah,
does it make
maybe
one
not.
squad of Chosen or two?
Oh, maybe it does. Maybe you can make 2 squads of Chosen, which means you could do battle line actually.
Okay, just curious.
But something, right? So I feel like the boxes are interesting, but they create the double release, and then I just want communication about when the rest is coming out. I don't know. Mostly I'm kind of this isn't hot or grot, but I'm mostly a little grot on them. Yeah. I want them to be better. I like the idea. I want them to be better executed, I think.
Exactly. That's why I kind of just have a grumble about it. I'm like, there's something not quite right about it.
Right.
And I would like that to be addressed, but I don't expect change.
Sorry, I was asking, and people in chat probably know too, but Adrian, what else did it come with? It came with models in the book?
It came with the models, the book, and the data cards.
Okay.
Which is cool. And all the boxes normally come with that.
Yeah.
So I like it. And you get the special edition book, which is
so it does come with the card. Yeah. So it's just like the Slaves of Darkness one. Yeah. I don't know. I
think it's good value. I think it's fun. It's just like it just creates a weird thing in the community, right?
Yeah. So when do these boxes go?
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
You can pick them up in stores.
And so
pre-order's already
then that's where the question is now: is can I show up to my game store and play this army with the new book?
Game store.
And I think everyone's going to say yes.
Well,
of course.
Yes. Not all tournaments though.
Not all tournaments, but like if I go to play with a buddy.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, we're playing with it. You
Yeah.
know, we're saying obviously things might change a bit by the time it comes out, but like ultimately it's still interesting. It's still new stuff, and it's still going to change the way that you play Warhammer.
And that's why there's this also, I think, this weird interaction. Not that it has to be this way, but with the data slate, or the balanced data slate. Like,
yes.
Right. That's the thing, because they're like, well, it's not really out yet.
That's an interesting one, which we can talk about. You know, we've had to kind of make a decision on how we handle that on the stream.
Right.
You know, just to show you guys this one, of course, Born Soldiers. This auto wounding on 6s famously is part of the current data slate that gives Guard this auto wounding on 6s, which implies that FAQ, that data slate, is not going to be present for this book. And that creates some big problems.
Because that's the -1 thing.
You're going to take a minus ballistic skill when shooting out of line of sight for
Can I ask,
mortars.
is there anything in that book that strengthens that's going to happen? Is there anything that says you don't suffer a minus?
Well, in a way. So one of the custom regiments.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
This is what I was
has basically spotters.
Yeah.
And it's essentially and this can be sentinels, which is cool. John did this to me yesterday. If that unit is within 12 and can see one of your targets, then your artillery will get +1 to hit.
Within 12 of what?
So like if I want to shoot your devilfish, and I have a sentinel that's within 12 and can see your devilfish, then my artillery get +1 to
within
hit.
12. I wish it just had to see it.
Just had to see? Yeah, I agree.
It's not that powerful.
I think NIDs have a way to do that too.
Yeah.
With like
it's
high
not,
guard.
It's not that powerful.
Well, it's also weird because it's +1 to hit. Now remember, when you're shooting out of line of sight, it's -1 to your ballistic skill. So, for example, if you're Guard, you're hitting on 4. You're shooting out of line of sight. you have now a ballistic skill of 5, which means you can be affected by negative modifiers still, because you're not negative modifier. Which means if it's over dense, it's hitting on 6s. And this only halfway helps fix that. So
I see. Yeah, well, that could be a 10th ed, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. So there's that, and of course, Armor of Contempt, right, which they basically introduced to Guard in the data slate, and is not in this book at all.
Okay.
Well,
so that I'm maybe okay with.
Yeah, I think we're of the opinion it's fine.
Yeah.
But again,
interesting
weird
stuff.
questions.
Interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're actually close to wrapping it up. So if you guys have any final questions, do let us know. Once we're done, we're going to be heading on over to Uncle Liam, who's going to be doing his stream, talking about this whole kerfuffle with Yarick. Is he dead? Is he not dead? It's a weird stance the GW's taken, but that's going to be definitely fun. So definitely join us for that. Other than that, if you guys have any more questions about the Guard book, speak now or forever hold your peace until tomorrow. Overall, it's a cool book. It's interesting. I'm excited to play against it. And I can guarantee that I'm going to sneak in some Catechin models. Like, knowing that I can go just buy a couple, paint them up, bring them in the studio, and then we can play with them.
Super cool.
That's exciting to me.
That's super cool.
You know? I'm super into that. So, yeah.
We did get a super chat here, sneaking in at the end from Liberty Fires. Adrian, I agree that Lorgar would be the first voted off the island, but between the Titans, Primarchs, which individual leaves because of medical?
Oh, man. Who gets a medical pull? So we had a question from Liberty Fires last night.
I saw it.
We're in Survivor, right?
Yeah. Which I've never seen.
Oh.
I've never watched any Survivor, so I know what happens in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what is a medical.
So medical, like, you get pulled because of the medical emergency, and like it could cause long-term damage to you. Like, they have to pull you. You have no choice. So you're like out of it. You can't win the $1 million. There's no choice. So so it's basically one of the Titans or the Primarch husbands that we're dating. And I have a hard time seeing one of our Primarch husbands getting pulled on medical before us. I'll be honest.
Yeah, except for Lorgar.
Except for Lorgar?
Yeah.
That's fair. I think, is it Bridger or is it John?
Yeah, we're both thinking Bridger or John. So John kind of seems like the guy who, like, all the bad things happen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
By no fault of his own.
By no fault of his own. Just because he's stressed, he's like, but that said, Bridger does leg day at the gym.
Yeah.
And you hear about it here all week.
Yeah, the whole week.
The whole week. So I could see Bridger just going to the gym and then just like the next day being gone on medical.
Well, there's no gym famously in Survivor.
Guys, I couldn't stand up.
That's it. I can't do it.
Guys, I can't stand up. I had to go.
Oh man, my legs are killing. We know, Bridger. I think I'm gonna play my card for John.
John,
and it's going to be doing something like selfless too. He's going to be like climbing up a tree to get coconuts for all of us.
Yeah.
And he like slips and skins like his like stomach on the way down and like breaks his leg. And they're like, "We gotta take you out, man."
Yeah.
And it's just like
that does
it's not even for him; it's for us.
That does sound like what would happen.
So, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Liberty Fires. Appreciate us making us think about
John skinning
making
himself.
Making us throw Bridger and John under the bus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a huge thanks to Liam Dempsey.
Yes.
And Tea Time with Toby. Thank you guys. You're getting 5 memberships each. It's an amazing way to support the channel. Meg, I know you're watching, so now you know. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Look, I think we did the thing.
Yeah.
Pretty, we're getting succinct and better with our timing.
Yeah. Liam's going to be happy.
Liam's getting a happy boy. Honestly, we have a lot of stuff coming up on the channel soon. Tonight, if you enjoy Magic, join us on Magic Titans. I'm going to be playing some Magic with Shane, Bridger, and Brian. It's going to be a ton of fun. Tomorrow, join us on Titan Tales for our special Guard spin-off episode. It's going to be Guard versus the Goth Rocker, brand new model. It's going to be a ton of fun. And Friday on Take a Spin, playing some Warcry.
That's going
to be awesome.
Yeah. We did get another super chat here from the Claven. Thank you, the Claven. Good to hear from you, as always. I think allowing for more generic but custom armies allows more people to the table. People say that Deathwing not special, but this allows other Terminator armies to have even more play.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm with you, the Claven, and I still think, like, you could still make a Deathwing army.
They could still have rules that allow for a Deathwing army, right?
Right. That's still, and like, I like the way they allude to it in the narrative. I love that. It's like, hey guys, we are saying, with that block of narrative text, we're saying this is Mordians, this is Deathwing, this is Talaran, this is Farsight. Right there, it's right there. You can see it, and here's their rule, and then you go pick something else.
Exactly.
It's cool.
The thing I was thinking about is like the custom Scarbrand. It's like, is that Scarbrand? It's a demon, a greater demon that is as powerful as Scarbrand.
Exactly.
Whatever. And that's all that really matters is like playing with the cool models that we love.
Yep.
You know? And then, of course, Saturday, join us, Nice Boys Mean Lists. We're going to be playing New Guard, the meanest list that John could put together, versus Necrons. Which I'm going to be playing, very excited to be playing them, and it's going to have a lot of destroyers. It's pretty fantastic. What's up, Melanie? Welcome in chat. Dr. Mel. I think that's going to do it for us. Zach, thank you for a good talk.
Of course.
Chat, thank you for a lovely discussion. Have a wonderful day, and behave yourselves with Uncle Liam. That's going to do it for us. We'll catch you guys next time on the Tabletop. Bye!